guys, welcome to East Bank Weekly. Why don't you start by providing us with a bit of an update on the academy?
So the 8 to 16s, we're looking at sort of over the last few months. We've just obviously come back after Christmas break, so we seem to be like just getting in the swing of things, getting the swing of the season, come towards the sort of end of the season. We had a couple of boys who obviously still play for district. I've got quite a few 13s who are playing for the district, which is good. Like, shows, I guess, that we're doing well. We had a couple of boys going to Fulham. We still got our Fulham sort of partnership where we run a Fulham development centre, which obviously works both ways. So we get some players that come out of Fulham and some players that go into Fulham, which is really, really good for us. The 13s got to the Hampshire Cup semi-final and lost the Hampshire Cup semi-final. The 16s, they're in the Surrey County Cup final, which is a big positive. Like, certainly, like some of the sides that are in that, like Leatherhead and I'm trying to think, like the Guildford side, so quite a strong team. So they've done very well to get to that. Yeah, I think that's everything in regards to the 16s.
And Ross, anything that's slightly older age groups as well?
Yeah, between the 16s and towards the 23s, we've got regularly 3 or 4 boys training with the first team. We've got obviously Reece Wiley, obviously got his England cap over the last few weeks, which is great. We've got Harry Taylor, which is on our centre backs, another good prospect, but he's actually gone on trial to Charlton. He's there at the moment. The under 19s have completely turned the league round, considering we had quite a slow start to the season. I think they're 6 unbeaten now. 6 unbeaten.
Yeah, it's like won 6 the last 7 or something.
And we played Dartford on Wednesday, which got a good result, 1-0 down at Dartford. And we are at Dover tomorrow at home, who are second in the league. So it'll be a good test for the boys for the under 19s.
You mentioned the older age groups there. A lot's been made recently about signing these young prospects onto contracts. And I thought you'd be able to give a bit of an explanation on the reasons why we haven't been able to.
Yeah, the short answer is we can't. While boys are studying with us on a full-time education programme, they can't be contracted to the club. If you officially can be at 17. So, for example, Reece is a great example. Reece is someone we want to contract. Reece is someone we want to tie in not a long term, but like a sort of contract which is going to keep him here for the foreseeable future. We can't do that until he's graduated. That affects everybody outside of the Football League. So while we don't sit under Football League sort of guidelines, which is the EPP, we literally can't contract players. We have to wait until they sort of finish their study. So as much as it's a frustration, and I get this sort of like a lot of people like, oh, why are we developing players for other clubs, which is like big thing. We hate it, don't we? But it is what it is. Like, we have to try and do what we can to sort of get players to if we can. So like Reece and Harry, but essentially, until they're contracted, they are there for free, but there is nothing we can do in terms of contracts.
Some people mention, what's the point of even running an academy if you can't sign these players, you lose money even. Obviously, it's not just about that.
Yeah. So like, first and foremost, we don't lose money. So that's the first thing. So if this isn't going to cost us anything, what a great sort of thing to do for like the local community. It's good fun for the players. It's obviously going to not just develop players, develop people. And then lots of local players get to play for sort of like a local team that they get to see whilst growing up. So like, for us, that's fantastic, isn't it? So it's not costing us any money, and then these young kids are getting to play football, which is a great passion of theirs. And if you can produce players and get players on the pitch in the long run, whilst doing that, it's win-win, isn't it? And if they're sort of on the way, so where like bigger clubs are coming in, it's great for them, isn't it? Like, so like, you've got like these young kids who are getting to live their ambitions, and we're part of that journey. So for me, as frustrating as it is, because I want to see Harry Taylor and I want to see Reece Wiley and Reece Miller and Ryan Hall play out their careers here and do well here, the fact that they're here and their development is a great thing.
So I'm curious to say for you as well, you want to see players progress into the first team.
No, of course, and I think it's one of the reasons why, obviously, when Ross brought me to Aldershot, it was one of the things about the priority is to develop players into our first team. Obviously, what Ross has just spoken about it is what it is, but we can only do our best and keep trying to push boys through. And obviously, Harry Taylor coming on the other day was a big thing for us, and we'll continue to do that. So
it's not just about the football as well; it's about the education and the life outside of football too.
Yeah, correct. Like, and like even like looking at like the sort of like the government regulations where like kids have to be in education 16 to 19, so like we're part of that, but giving them a good education is really, really important. So like a thing that we wouldn't consider and haven't considered is finishing a kid's education early just to put them on a contract to benefit us in the long run, as great as that probably sounds. So we have to make sure the education's right, we have to make sure all the things are in place at Oldwood at the school, so that if they aren't successful in football, that they get a sort of long-term career out of us. But I'd also add as well, like clubs like Charlton coming in for Harry and Fulham coming in for Henry and for Riley. These are things that are shown, as much as we don't like it, these are things that are shown that what we're doing is good and what we're doing is right. Like if no one was coming to get our players, then that would be more of a concern. If everyone was just here and everyone was just taking along, that would be more of a worry if you ask me honestly.
So you're saying, Ross, well, it's frustrating that these players move on to higher clubs. Probably a credit to you guys what you're doing in the academy as well.
Yeah, but it's again, it comes down to the team. Obviously, Ross has employed over the last couple of years. All the staff work hard. They run by the philosophy. We work hard to implement it, and I feel, and I think Ross will back it, we are getting success from it.
It's been a great start for you, obviously, with the staff that you've got as well. What does the future hold for the academy moving forward?
Yeah, so we've just put 2 new full-time members of staff in. Adam and James are coming in. That's a foundation phase lead and a YDP lead. They're going to do lots of other stuff, like around supporting John and the foundation, supporting our holiday camps, as well as sort of like supporting me with the younger age groups. Because like up until January, I was essentially, apart from the 2 teachers, the only full-time member of staff, like looking after the academy. So having them 2 in is a blessing. Also, like sort of like putting them in charge of trying to get more development centres and trying to get more extra additional programmes so we can offer more football in this area. I still don't think we do enough in schools. I still don't think we work enough with grassroots clubs. So I think there's lots and lots we can do in terms of that, to sort of not just grow us, but sort of work more with the local community really.
Ross, what can we do to make sure the local community does see more of Oldwood Town's football?
I think it will come with time. I think if I'm talking about the 16s to 23s, obviously we're in a stage now where we're already looking for next season. So we've got open trials coming up in February, which we'll bring boys in, and there'll be trials for boys who we don't get to see to come in and show their ability, and obviously look to take on for next year. So we're already looking for next year. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the key, and you've got to keep moving and it's got to keep evolving. And that's probably a criticism of what it hasn't done in the past. It's always sort of got to somewhere and then disbanded or whatever. So we need to make sure that it is forever grown and it is here. And like I think one of the things I'd add, like Adam and James and Ross and all of the staff that are bringing that we have now are like we've got succession planning and if, like I've always said to you, I was passionate about if I do go or whatever happens, that it's still here and it still continues and the kids are still, and for whoever comes in takes it on board and takes it further really.
You mentioned the older age groups, but you've also mentioned the younger age groups. I know you're looking to employ younger age groups in their National Town as well.
Yeah. The younger age groups, the younger age development centres and pre-academies and all the type of stuff that we've got going on.
And what successes this year have you had that you can put on camera?
So we mentioned the under-16s, like under-16s final. I think that's a big success. Like I think if you look at league successes, I think as much as we say like the under-18s, 19s, and 23s are doing well, I think the key thing is the progression they've made. Like last year, we were like middle of the road, like in all those leagues. And now I think we're top 2 in every single one, apart from the 19s. But our form is exceptional. We're in a few big quarterfinals. Like we've got the last 16 of the national schools, which is huge. Quarterfinal of 23s, which is big. So just getting as far as we can, really, in those competitions, so that next year we go further, really. And I think we want to develop players, but we also want to dominate all that type of stuff, dominate the leagues, dominate the cups in this area. And the youngsters, just kids playing football. Like I said to you before, the fact that I've just got no space, like I've got nowhere. Like there's teams which are crammed, there's teams which are like with maximum players. So not having space and not being able to put players somewhere, to me, suggests that what we're doing is quite good. So it's trying to find sort of like different things and different avenues where we put players.
And Ross is someone who works with the older age groups as well. What successes have you had to talk about?
I think probably obviously the players coming through has been obviously our best success. But I think in terms of where we started, me and Ross built the philosophy last year, and it was about implementing it from the top all the way down to the younger age groups. Obviously, where it's been about a year and a half now, like we're starting to see real success of the philosophy and how it looks and the style of play. We've had quite a few times last season and this season where we might not necessarily have won the games, but we're getting very good feedback from other coaches, people watching about the way we play. We try to play proper football, we try to play through the thirds, and I think that's important for us as in creating our players. So that would be a big thing for me. And I think also, just to round it off, like what the academy looks like all over in terms of where we're at Alderwood, we've got our training facility where we are. I think the boys from the younger age groups all going all up to the 23s in the same training kit, even little things like that. I feel like we're building quite a good foundation for the academy. And like I said, Ross mentioned it earlier about just keep moving forward and keep progressing.
So it's not just the education on the pitch, also off the pitch as well, something you've mentioned has been success so far as well.
Yeah, definitely. We got. I mean, there's boys going to university, and there's boys going getting scholarships abroad. The grades that they're getting in terms of like their BTECs and NCFEs are very, very good, really. But I think like another thing that we've got a lot of the boys who are help supporting us, aren't there? So like we've got Lachlan, George, Karma, who regularly support us and regularly help us, Harry Tillage as well, as coaching staff. So that's really, really good. That develops their employability skills. I think that's a really, really important sort of skill to have. You asked me about two like successes as well. Like the staff, like is a big thing. Like we got like Ross is in observing the first team, and we've got Adam and James who were part-time and now full-time, and we've got, I think Tristan is moving on, but he's moving on to go and do something that's potentially more full-time, local to him. So the development of the staff that we've got on the system as well, from my perspective, is a big positive, and being able to keep hold of some of the good staff for like 2, 3, 4 seasons is a good thing, because it does show that what we're doing is doing well. That the changeover staff certainly since I've been in hasn't been massive. Like we've had a few come and a few go, but it seems like that they want to stay and they want to develop here, which is great.
How's that experience been for you, Ross, working with the first team and coaching staff there?
Yeah, Danny and Amar have been great, very welcoming, letting me come down, help. Obviously it's hard because obviously a lot of the time we train at similar times, but I'm trying to get down as much as I can to help out, and I think it's a good bridge between obviously the 23s to the first team. I think it also shows a pathway to players that coaches are going in and out of the first team. But like Danny and Amar have been great, and I look forward to keep working.
And just finally, Ross, looking at any future and final upcoming events as well for the academy.
Yeah. So development centres, we like to push those. The pre-academy, we're going to start a new development centre the beginning of February in Aldershot. We don't actually have a development centre in Aldershot apart from the partnership with Fulham, which is invite only. But we have the we're going to start one on Tuesday night, I think 4:30 or 6 at Alderwood, which is really, really positive. Looking at starting a pre-academy, which is 5 and 6 year olds, really, like on a Saturday morning. I think we need to do more work certainly with that age group. We've got some up-and-coming trips and tours. The 13s and 15s are going to Holland, and the 9s, 8s till 11s, I think, or 8s to 12s are going to York. I think there's like Glasgow Rangers, Arsenal, Liverpool are all playing in that, so that's quite a big tournament. And then we've got the mental health seminar. So we've got a seminar here at the EBB, which the idea was obviously with the difficulties that young players have, parents have, not just in football but sort of in everyday life. But we had a sort of experience in trying to get an understanding of what we can do to support our players, but also again what parents can do to support players as well. So we've got a mental health seminar here on the 12th of March, which was open to all players, parents, staff. I think there's about 70 to 80 signed up for that. Which is fantastic, really. So like the fact that as an academy we're trying to do stuff around mental health, and mental health is obviously really, really important. So trying to do stuff around that, I think it's fantastic. Also want to try and do more stuff for grassroots clubs and stuff as well. I think that's really important. We don't do that at all. I think grassroots clubs have been like quite standoffish with us because we want to steal their players. I can assure them that all of them that's not the case. We've obviously only got so many players we can have, like I said before. We'd like to do more in terms of working with coaches and in the local community and local clubs and working with parents as well. A couple of ideas, like maybe potentially running FA level ones for our parents. I think will be a real good step in the right direction. Yeah.
Ross, what are your thoughts on the upcoming events of the club in the academy?
I think Ross has said it all, to be totally honest. I think, again, from my experience of being here, like, for all the shots put on events like this is really important. And again, what you asked me earlier about how the academy looks, it's the whole foundation that we're trying to build here, on and off the pitch, which is great. So we just got to stay positive and keep moving forward.
The mental health seminar as well, something that not a lot of academies do run and host, so it's quite an impressive feat for the club to run.
Yeah, no, of course, and like I said, it's, this day and age especially, like, it's so important, and it affects a lot of people. So like I said, if we can support that as a club, I think that's brilliant.
Just finally, if anyone was looking to sign up to these events, how do they go about it?
Yeah, so like Ross mentioned the trials, like right at the beginning, we've got trials for 13s to 16s, which are now closed, but 16s to 19s, if you just go on to the website, go to Academy tab, then it drops down Academy trials. And then development centres as well, they're also under performance centres. So that it's all like pretty easy to find. The website is up to date, apart from fixtures I think, but it is up to date. So all the information, where we play, what we do, how often we train, where the performance centres are, how to book, are all on sort of our Academy tab page, which is on the main website.
So you do get a lot of queries as well, through the phone as well. You can also email you as well.
Yeah, they can email me. Like the best email address, if they do have any inquiries, generally is academy@theshots.co.uk. That is better. That'll get picked up by someone at the academy, and we'll be sort of like happy to help, really.
Are you in with a shot? For more information, click the link below.
Click here for the next video, click here to subscribe.